Neon streets, they glow tonight. Questions buzzing in the light. Cheyonne's got answers cool and clear. Traffic truths you'll wanna hear. Ask a traffic cop after dark, lighting up your mind like a spark. Rules of the road with a chill vibe, cruising knowledge on this late night ride. Brake lights flash under the moon. Sean's wisdom cuts through the gloom. Relaxed and fun with a steady tone. He makes the road feel like home. Ask a traffic cop after dark, lighting up your mind like a spark. Rules of the road with a chill vibe, cruising knowledge on this late night ride. From stop signs to speeding tickets.
What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing well. My name is Sean Shapiro, former police officer, TikTok traffic cop extraordinaire, guy who is going to help answer your traffic and police questions for the next hour. Sadly, Instagram's not working. We didn't get an error message. Thought it was back in action. Nah, it's not working. But we're working everywhere else. So Melody, Shifty, Captain, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. If you're watching, please like and tap that screen on TikTok till your fingers go numb. Regardless of what platform you're on, please follow, because that helps. It helps keep everybody following. It really helps out. It's been a while since I've been online. This whole summer hours business of only going live twice a week is not at all something that I am used to. I'm used to going 5 days a week, and now that I'm doing it 2 days a week. It's Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. and then Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. And this Wednesday, being tomorrow, I'm going live with Jerry Ager on News Talk 1010 at 10:35 is when he'll join the stream. Captain, that's not what this stream is about. Captain's asking stuff about international relations. And this is a traffic channel. You want to talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff? I'm your guy. You want to talk about wars and other stuff? Go somewhere else, not for here. But that's my story. I used to work for the Toronto Police, and I was a traffic specialist. I was a media relations officer before I left that uniform business back in August of last year. I can't believe it's already been so long. I did a video a couple of weeks, maybe it was a week ago, 275 days. So we're getting to that whole year since I left the job. And I got to tell you, it's weird. I'm loving every minute of doing what I do, but it is weird being on the outside looking in. What is going on in your life? What are you seeing on the road? I have been all over the place checking out stuff and things. I just was in Barrie today, and despite there being a couple of collisions on the road when I was heading north, I noticed people are going ridiculously fast still. I even passed an OPP officer, and when I was going past him, I was doing about 90. Because it was an area that had just gone from 80 to 100, so I was getting up to speed. But passing me were people doing 120, no problem. Nobody got pulled over. I was really shocked because I for sure thought they were going to get nailed, but they didn't. Joe Stogren doesn't like my beard. Well, it's my beard, not yours. So if you want to shave, you go right ahead. I've talked about shaving. I keep discussing the possibilities of shaving, but I'm not sure exactly how I want it to go. We'll see. I just got a message from Smile Conference. Hey, Smile Conference. Smile Conference is social media and law enforcement, and they asked me to come and speak. And I guess I have to give them it's North Carolina this year. I was in Florida originally. It's in North Carolina, so I got to reach out to them. If you're watching right now, I will reach out to you and respond to your email. Lou Sassel, how's it going, Lou? He says, I know you're retired, but you know if there's going to be action to stop light jumpers, actions to stop light jumpers. Uh, do you mean like jump? What do you call it? Jackrabbit starts, the stunt driving. That's already a thing. Like if you find someone jackrabbit starting, that's where they hit the gas before or just after the lights change. That's stunt driving. That's take away your license for 30 days, your car for 14. It's not a fun day at the office for you. But is there action? Coppers got to see it. That's the issue. There's not enough cops to go around, and certainly not enough cops to do heavy duty enforcement like we need on our roads to actually get positive change. A lot of people think that um, we should have more design to prevent people from being douchebags on the road. Okay, yeah, design's good. Changing road designs to make people force people to be better by constricting the flow of traffic or making them make wider turns. Um, but is that the only thing? I think we need really strict enforcement. So uh, I hope. Oh, wait, Lou Sassel is explaining. No, he's talking about actually stopping the red. It's crazy how more often it's happening and there's cameras. Oh, you mean people are running the red altogether? Red light cameras should be everywhere, as should automated enforcement cameras. But I think that there should be points taken off. I don't think they should get this monetary fine and then you go about your business. I think they should hammer the registered owner. And if the registered owner wants to go into the office or into court and say it was my son Bobby driving, well, then Bobby can get the demerit points transferred to them. But I think that is where things need to be. It is wild to me that that it's not already like that. By the way, if anyone's watching on YouTube, please send me a message because I haven't seen anything on YouTube. Actually, you know what? I'll just open up the YouTube interface. Stand by, because usually YouTube is popping, and if there's no messages, oh, look at that. There's a bit of a delay. Mute. I just do a little test message here. Yeah, I think that's what's needed. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm saying. All right, let me just get this just out of the way. Is it coming through? That's what I want to know. It looks like it is working. Cool. Okay. So I can close that again. Nice. Last time we went live, things were not working properly. Yeah, so automated enforcement, I think, should be everywhere. Now, speaking of automated enforcement, a lot of chatter in Vaughan. See, they installed a whole bunch of cameras in Vaughan, and then 33,000 tickets were issued. I think that's the number. And the crowd went wild. Yeah, they complained a lot. Let me see. I have an image. 32,000 tickets in 3 weeks. And then Stephen Del Duca announced that no new fines will be issued as staff review the program over the summer. Pause effective June 4th. So they want time to make improvements such as better signage, pavement markings, and potential warning notices. You're freaking speeding, folks. Why do you need a warning to tell you not to break the law beyond that of what's already posted called a speed limit sign? And the amazing whining that I am witnessing on Facebook groups about people thinking this is outrageous. I'm being charged for breaking the law and held accountable. How dare they? It is pathetic. If you're watching this and you're from Vaughan and you've been crying about getting tickets, the simple solution is don't break the friggin' law. I'm sorry. I have no sympathy at all whatsoever. I'm a big bad meanie. I'm sorry. I gotta say it. It's a very Canadian apology. You broke the law. I'm sorry that you feel bad about being held accountable, but whatever. It's a thing. Nicholas Rizzi, what's going on, my friend? Long time no see. Nicholas is coming in from X. I'm glad to see that you're here, my friend. I will put you. Let's see. What is Nicholas saying? I had a cop pull up beside me at a red light. I think he thought I was talking on my cell phone while driving, be it I was singing to my favorite song, which isn't illegal. Just embarrassing. Kind of wish I was on my phone. You know what? As long as you weren't knuckle deep in your nose, I think you're doing okay. Here's the thing. As a police officer, when I was on the job, I'd pull up and I'd watch people, and you see the wildest things when people are distracted. They have no idea what's going on. The fact that you were even paying attention enough to see the police officer beside you shows that you were, well, kind of switched on, which is awesome. It is awesome. I just realized last week we did this dash cam court. I didn't prep any dash cam. I don't have any footage ready. So we don't have a dash cam court today, which is sad. I am now sad as a result. Eric says, hey, do earnings stay on record? If so, how long? Oh, warnings stay on record. Thank you for the clarification, Eric. So the deal is that a warning stays in the system forever and ever. There's no, it's just an internal document within the police service and can be shared with any other police service, but it does stay on forever. I don't know of a time, it could be 25 years, but it's certainly going to outlive anyone caring. And if you were to get another stop, a police officer is going to see that you got a warning. It's not a conviction. It's not anything that really counts against you, except for the fact that you shouldn't expect another warning. Yeah, and I've pulled over people, the same people, over a period of time. Like it's pretty wild how often folks get pulled over, and yeah, it's a thing. That working this, but this button doesn't work. I was going to press a button and say Diamond and Diamond. Thank you for your support. Diamond and Diamond lawyers actually are well, they're sponsors of the show along with Barrett Legal, and with their help, I can actually go online and do stuff like pay for the software and the internet connection and equipment that I need to put on the show. I've retired from policing, which means I don't get paid for this, and they really do help cover things. And if you want to support the show, whether it be through Buy Me a Coffee at VoiceOver Cop, you can send money. You can go on the website, askatrafficcop.ca. It's not required, but if you want to send money, you can. And it's not to support me directly. You're not putting money in my account. You're helping to support better traffic safety and education. It's a not-for-profit that I started when I left the service, and the goal is to create programs that go to schools and just help the community educate people better. All right, moving on. Dusty says, what does Dusty say? Curious about hood lights. Many people in my city have them, but I was told I couldn't run solid blue. Well, you can't project blue forward. That is correct. It's not that you can't have accent lights in your vehicle. If you had amber lights, they'd be perfectly legal. You can only project forward amber and white. Now, in terms of it is certain brightness, you're limited to 4 headlights. So if you have your headlights and fog lights that together, that's 4 lights. You can't have any more. Amber lights that are marker lights, you could have more. So you could have running across the front of the grill, for instance, marker lights. But those are lower voltage, not projector bulbs. So it really depends on what we're talking about. What do we got here? Steph says, what does Steph say? I've seen multiple people just drive through the light if it takes too long. So we're talking about an intersection where it's a red light and they're just impatient. I see. I want to just be and call them out and use nasty language, but I've got to restrict. I've got to hold back. Yeah, people who just drive through red lights because they're impatient, they can't wait. Well, obviously they're breaking the law and they'd be eligible for tickets if they're lucky if they don't cause a collision. Because frankly, that's bad things tend to happen. Now, if you're in a motorcycle and you're driving through because you've been waiting for 10 minutes and it's not changing, I kind of sort of get it because it's annoying when you're on a motorcycle not to get through. I have many, many years riding motorcycle and I've experienced that. My suggestion for riders and for motor vehicles of any size, if the intersection is not working properly in the province of Ontario, where there is no dead red law, make the right turn on red, what's legal, and then make a legal U-turn when it's safe to do so. But don't just run the light. It's just it's not cool. Many people do it, but it's not cool, and you are eligible for that ticket. Okay. Cano 2 Gold says, question, in Yorkdale parking lot, which is private, do cars have to obey pedestrian crossings? Almost met God. So you have to drive safely. Now, could you be getting a ticket for running a what I think stop sign? No, you can't get a stop sign ticket. But you can get a careless ticket. So if you are buzzing through a crosswalk, it's not an enforceable pedestrian crossing, but that would be careless operation or careless driving. And careless driving does apply on private property. So does stunt driving. So does criminal dangerous driving. So yeah, you could be doing stuff that does result in charges on private property, which is relatively new. Dangerous driving was always the case. However, when it comes to the careless, that's new. Okay. Brother Norm, what's going on, Brother Norm? Brother Norm says they lower speed limits and brought in the cameras. They lower speed limits because it's been determined that people have a higher likelihood of surviving an impact at lower speeds. So areas that were 60 are now 50, 50 are now 40, 40 are now 30 in many jurisdictions. And that's a good thing, whether people like it or not. And that's because in those high risk areas where there would be schools where the elderly folks are, wherever they're putting them, they're designating most of those as vulnerable areas. That's why they're reducing the speed. Then they're putting in cameras because no one's respecting the speed. So, yeah, you follow the street signs. If they make it 10, you got to do 10. It's just a law. You may not like it, but if you choose to break the law, you're eligible for tickets, and it's your problem. So, I mean, I hate to sound unsympathetic, but it's whatever it is. Bernhard has a dad joke. So funny story today. I attended um, court on behalf of or not really on behalf. The person representing them was not me. However, I did go to court, and as a result, I had to prep for court, which really meant just going for Timmy's beforehand. And a couple of special constables walked in the front door, and I did not know who they were, but I went up to say hello anyway. And before I got a chance to say anything, Bernhard says, "It's Bernhard." So we had been talking about connecting for coffee, and it just sort of naturally happened. Now, we didn't get to sit around and chat, but it was awesome to finally meet in person because we've been talking on the show for a long, long time. So good to meet you in person, brother. Okay. By the way, Bernhard it was had become a special constable, and we sort of lived vicariously through his experiences going through the college, the hiring process, and whatnot. So really awesome. Okay, Nacho Mutta says hello back at you. Miyaki wants to know can a let me see here. I'm going to put this on screen because it's a good question. Also, if you're on YouTube, and you're on X, you're on what else? What else works here? Twitch is working apparently. You can put those questions will show up on screen. And this is the question that was asked. Can a cop issue separate tickets for windshield tinting and illegal side window tinting? Yes, of course they can. So each window is eligible for charges. So if you well, and more than that, I can charge where a police officer can charge you for obscuring the driver's view outward, looking out. They can also charge you for obscuring the interior, looking in. So it's a double one. And if it's too dark, they can also charge you for unsafe motor vehicle and take your plates. Like it's the gift that keeps on giving. That's what it is. So hello to Liz. How are you? Good to see you. Brandon, what's going on, brother? He says, hello, Sean and all, back in Ontario with Florida weather. Hope you all had a fantastic day. I certainly did. Went to court, then went to King of the North to pick up my winnings. It's not really winnings because it's not free. I paid for everything, but I did buy a whole bunch of stuff. Some of that is reflective vinyl. I have a vinyl cutter. I actually have an Etsy store and sell Canadian flag decals. And I make them in blue, I make them in black, I make them in red, and now I'm going to make them in orange. And it's really cool vinyl. I like it. It's got that hexagonal pattern on it. And that's the more information that I plan on sharing about it. But that's what I did today. It was awesome. I got to connect with my buddy Daryl. And what else happened? I had my dollar drinks at McDonald's. That's the only thing I'm having at McDonald's these days is the dollar drinks. It is a good promotion. What else happened today? Why on earth is my someone pressed play on the on the speak? I have Apple speakers throughout the house, and someone tried to play some music, and that was weird. Okay. Let's get back to questions and stuff and things. By the way, if you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And if you got questions, I got answers. So that's what this is. Ask a Traffic Cop After Dark. It's the PM version, which we started doing only since I left the police service. It used to always go live at 10 a.m. Actually, way back when, went to like live at 8 a.m. Started going live at 10 a.m. One of the summers and just stuck with it. But you know what? There's people who want to have access at night. And that's why we're doing what we do. If you've got questions, throw them in there. We'll chat about them. And Melody is a mechanic. If you got mechanic questions, we might be able to get Melody to answer them. I'm just going to unplug this thing. I don't even know where the speaker is. Hey Siri, stop. I don't know where the speaker is, but I'm annoyed by it. A lot. Like really annoyed. Okay, hold on a second. I gotta go into this. Yeah, it's my daughter is playing in 3 bedrooms. Music. My work. Stop it! Stop it! Oh, this is so annoying. I can yeah. She's trying to play music to go to sleep. She's cute, but I don't want to hear the music down here. And we're back. Kids are awesome. All right. What else we got here? Dusty says, thanks. Oh, Josh Vader says it's so confusing and annoying. Police say it's their system being weird. How long will it take to clear? Josh Vader, I don't see your initial question. It must have got flagged for some reason by the system. Let me see if I can see it on this interface. No, I don't see it anywhere. So it's been flagged for some reason. Ask me a different way or ask me on a different platform if it's something that's triggering. Oh, Josh Vader says I keep getting pulled over for a license suspension. A year ago, the MTO says I'm cleared as of August 2024. I would say go to a local police station, ask them to run it, ask them to notify the MTO or put it on the system, make a note in the system. They can do that. It shouldn't be coming up. Someone's not clearing it properly, so you need to escalate that because yeah, that's really really annoying. Okay. Jay wants to know how much tint is allowed. So, for the purposes of certification, and Melody, you can correct me if I'm wrong, 30% light blockage is the maximum permitted that a mechanic would check with their light meter. More than 30%, they shouldn't be safetying your vehicle. It's an unsafe motor vehicle. If you have 30% tint, you're probably still going to get a ticket for obscuring the interior of your motor vehicle by a police officer because atmospheric conditions are a thing. So if it's at night and we can't see you, it's too dark. I have a video that I posted on the Toronto Police Traffic Services channel when I was an officer that has me demonstrating a sample that is legal and a sample that is not legal according to the meter, and it's not that dark. Like the illegal one is not that dark. It's lighter than you would think. So 30% is the maximum for certification, but an officer could lay a charge because it's not based on a meter, it's based on their observations. But most people are way, way over than that. And if you put 30% on an already tinted window, you're going to end up with more than 30%. Just saying. Brady Wells says turning left as soon as the light turns green, is that a jackrabbit start? And can you get a ticket? So yeah, if there's nobody else around and you hit the gas, that's not a ticket. If you are making a jackrabbit start in front of or in before straight through traffic, oncoming traffic has an opportunity to even respond to the light. So you're hitting it just before or just after it turns green, that is a jackrabbit start. It's specifically outlined as a problem it's outlined in the stunt driving legislation. So that's stunt driving. So you're looking at a 30-day suspension, a 14-day vehicle impound, a $2,000 to $10,000 fine on conviction, a further 1 to 3 year driving prohibition on conviction, up to 6 months in jail. Like we're talking serious stuff. Now, is it often that we're seeing jail time for stunt driving? More now, but it's for the most egregious stuff, the high speed stuff. I've not heard of anybody getting jail for a jackrabbit start. It's still a terrible thing to do, and it can lead to collisions, and it's just generally a junk move. Do I have video of this that I can show you? I don't have anything queued up. I wouldn't be able to find it in a reasonable amount of time. Joe says the game is on now. Also, Joe said he was just teasing about the beard because he really loves the beard. He just doesn't. He's jealous that he can't grow it. Actually, I've got to open up. I got a gift pack from a beard company that I talked about last week, but I haven't had time to go and do the unboxing video. Waddell Engineering, what's going on, my friend? Canadian Ape, how are you? Al Ferguson, AJ the Awesome, Amanda Friesen. I'm seeing all sorts of names I haven't seen in a while. Melody, Shanice, we've got, did I say Errol? We've got Muhammad and Anna, Melanie, and that redneck dude 12. There's a whole bunch of people that reached out, and they're very unhappy that the live stream is not coming through on Instagram. I wish it was. I don't know what the problem is. I got to talk to tech support. I saw the warning. I don't really want to start a tech support conversation right now, but you know what? Just because, let's see. I'm just going to start a ticket here. Something's not working. There we go. It's a button. I apologize. I'm trying something new, so you actually may be hearing the system sounds. Um, Instagram's not working. Is it working? But the notice that you had is no longer up. Okay. AJ the Awesome says, I must go. Take care, everybody. AJ the Awesome, thanks for spending some time with us. And what do we got here going? Melody says 30% on the windows left and right of the driver, none on the windshield if the vehicle was built on or after January 1st, 2017. Yes. And if it was manufactured before January 1st, 2017, you're allowed to have the 3 inches from the top of the window to the AS1 line, whatever comes first. So that is for the front windshield, unless it was after January 1st, then nothing can be there. And you know what's interesting is that people say, well, why? Why? Well, I've been told it's about sensors, or maybe they just drew a line in the sand and said, that is all. As of this day, you shall not pass. And that's it. I don't know though why. I do agree with no windshield tint. I think it's ridiculous, but hey. The Redneck Dude 12 says, or asks, I should say, are radar detectors legal in Ontario? And the answer is they are not, and nor should they be legal anywhere. They're really counterproductive. They work to make roads less safe. I don't know why any province in Britain and Alberta allows them, which I think is ridiculous. Why on earth would you give someone the legal ability to identify when they're, well, actually, you know what am I thinking about? They give people signage to say, don't speed here because we have machines recording your plates and they will catch you, which is boggles the mind, because why do we need to warn you that breaking the law is against the law? It's like saying, that red rum is illegal and drugs are illegal, and we don't need to put signs up for that. We know it's illegal. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't stop people from doing it. Why should we put signs up anyway? I digress. Things that make you go or just piss me off. But yeah, it's yeah, they're not legal. $170 fine, 2 demerit points, can seize the device because we have search and seizure authority. Police have search and seizure authority. I still haven't gotten used to the concept of saying police and not referring to myself. There you go. What's the law on U-turns? When can I and when can I not? That's Al Ferguson asking the question. The answer is that there are places where you specifically just can never, and then there's when there's a sign present. So let's go over it's essentially wherever it can be done safely, unless signed otherwise, unless we're talking about the following places. So in front of a bridge, viaduct, tunnel, railway crossing, a curve in the road where there's no visibility, or crest in the grade, like a hill, where there's no visibility. So if you can't see traffic coming, it's obviously not safe, but they have to spell it out in the HTA, and they do. So those are places you simply cannot. And if you see a sign that says no U-turn, it's for 150 meters beyond that sign. Otherwise you can. But I got to tell you, I don't like U-turns. I've done them. I'm also very aware of people who have lost their lives as a result of them. So they're not suggested. They're things I don't think are safe. But I've had driving instructors on this platform, or on the platform, we're on a number of platforms, on TikTok in particular, go, it's safe. I don't agree with you when you say it's not safe. I don't know why I'm making that voice. It is what it is. So yeah, there's a thing. I think they're unsafe, and I'd rather see you use private property, make 3 right, a series of right turns, as better than making a U-turn. All righty. Gilligan. Is it Gilligan? I used to like Gilligan's Island. Is that how Gilligan spelled? Gilligan? No, it's not. It's not. It's not. Is that Julie Jen? No. Anyway, do you think what is this? Do you think there'll ever be laws change? I'm going to try reading that one more time. Do you think there'll ever be law changes on the who like to camp out in the left lane on the 401? So there are laws on the books about left lane camping, in terms of slower traffic must stay to the right, but they're not the biggest problem. Like if you're trying to do more than the posted speed limit and they're in your way and they're doing the speed limit, you're the problem. No one's allowed to speed. The posted limit is the maximum limit. And I'm sorry to bring that to your attention, but speeding is totally unacceptable. Now, if they're doing below the posted speed limit, I totally understand why you'd be frustrated, because you need to go to the speed limit. But most people are frustrated because people are doing the speed limit in the left lane or not speeding enough, which is ridiculous in itself. So yeah, laws exist already. What do we got here? Canadian Ape, in response to the whole radar detector, says they are not legal. Ask me how I know. All right. We talked about this. Melody says 75 millimeters from the top or to the AS line, which I think 75 millimeters is 3 inches. I think. I don't know why millimeters and I don't get along, but it is a thing. Um, okay, Gilligan says the same thing. And let's go back over to the other platforms. See what's cooking here. We got Nicholas Rizzi who asks the question. Oh, hi, Judy. Judy is with Restream. Restream is the company that I use for multi-broadcasting. So I guess she's reading what's going on. Howdy, we are live. It's too funny. Okay, the clicking you hear is Judy. So we'll put Judy back down in the corner for a second. Nicholas says the cop's an undercover car. Who are you trying to fool? Just because you don't have sirens, we still see everything else that gives you away. The back seat, the front guard rail thingy, the word police written in white letters on your white doors. Shouldn't cops drive RAV4s or a station wagon when undercover? So here's the common misconception. That is not an undercover car. That is a stealth or what's the other word for it? It's I can't remember that we had another term for it, but the deal is that that's not undercover. That's just less in your face. Stealth, I think, is the proper term. But there's another thing I'm thinking of. In any case, those are great tools, and if you're switched on, you're paying attention means you're doing the right thing. If you don't notice them, like I've stood on the street corner with a high vis vest in uniform at 6'5", and people have no idea I'm there. I've pulled up beside them on police Harley Davidsons with the revving the engine, and they don't pay attention because they're engrossed in their phone or whatnot. They're not trying to hide. They want to be very visible for emergency purposes. They are a marked car. Subdued. That's the word I was the word I was looking for. Okay. They're there. A truly undercover car. You do not know it's an undercover car because it's undercover. Yeah. Now we also have some sneaky unmarked cars. And if you see the officer in uniform inside, great. But otherwise, it's truly unmarked. We have pickup trucks and minivans and all sorts of vehicles that do enforcement stuff and things. Brandon says, I will be a part of the Epcot Food and Wine Festival this year, the Canadian Pavilion, not sure of the menu yet. When and for how long? I would go to Florida. It's sick that I have to go to Florida to connect and try some of your cooking, but that's really exciting. We're big Disney fans here at the Shapiro household, and my wife has been trying to uh, to get us to go there. So I don't know when we're going, but we definitely want to go. Okay. So Judy says that they have an intermittent issue, but they've discovered a workaround. Please let's see the attached video and let me know if that works. Okay, it's gonna be okay. We'll try for the next video. We'll try for the next stream. We'll try for the next stream. Okay. The microphone, I can touch type, but I have a weird keyboard and uh it's a split keyboard and I got it all squished over to one side. So I need to occasionally landmark and look, and my microphone is blocking my view. I cannot use my view, my peripheral vision. Okay, what is I'm really excited about this Epcot business. Okay. Nicholas Rizzi goes on to say, okay, so here's some good questions. I'll flag them and come back. That's what I'll do. That's what I'll do. Okay. Scrolling back to the stuff on other platforms, very specifically the TikTok. What are we going here? Hey, from Durham, Oshawa. That's Thomas Milner, who says my brother's with TPS 42. What's going on, Thomas Milner? And a shout out to your brother who's on the job. Thank you for lending them to us. We appreciate those who put on uniforms every day and protect us. And I say that now, not tongue in cheek at all. Like I really do appreciate our police, even though I'm no longer one. And it's a big deal. So high five and fist bump to your brother. Okay, Melody says Ontario standards are written in metric. I don't like trying to convert PSI to KPA. Ugh. Yeah, no, kilopascals. Is that what it is? Kilopascals, KPA. What do we got here? AJ Barr. How can we make motorcycles not split lanes on Gardner during rush hour? Oh, well, first of all, it's not legal. And when an officer comes across it, they may choose to engage and lay a charge of careless, stunt, or even criminal dangerous driving, depending on the activity. Here's the thing: I don't. If they manage to get through, I don't care. The problem is when they cause issues or injury to themselves or another. Like I can tell you that I've helped find body parts because they were missing, like a foot. They couldn't find it after the collision. Like bad things happen. Have you seen how bad the drivers are? And you want to put a motorcycle at speed traveling between other vehicles? You got to have rocks in your head. Absolutely. Now, speed differential is the biggest problem. If I really don't personally have an issue, if it is standstill traffic and there is a motorcycle that is going at a walking pace, maybe 10, 15 kilometers an hour, like a very okay, that's not a walking pace, but if it's going slow, a minor speed differential, like would you ride a bicycle? If that's the speed in which they are traveling between vehicles, I have no issue with it. It's not legal, but I wouldn't give them a problem. If they're going faster, they're a hazard and they're going to hurt somebody. So, oh, okay. I'm just sorry. Now I'm reading the next question and distracted by it. So we have Josh who says, when you get pulled over and at an intersection, should you pull over immediately or shortly for safety? So the law says you need to pull over to the nearest curb or edge of roadway. If you're in the middle of an intersection, you need to pull over immediately after. And as I always say, don't shop for parking. Police officer determines when they are going to activate their lights and sirens. They know when they're going to stop you, and they may want you to stop right away. They may choose an appropriate place to pull over. In any case, I'd rather be directed. Look out. I used to like wave to people out the window, like further. I give the hand directions when I was pulling people over because some people need a little extra, and that is the deal. Pull over as soon as you can safely. Not keep going because when you don't stop, you escalate things to a pursuit. And depending on how switched on or on the edge the officer is, you may find yourself getting extra charges. So Thomas says, "Thanks, sir. I'm very close to all the canine in Durham. Right on. Great crew. That's very cool. Did I make the canine coin? I made a couple of coins for a couple of different services. I used to design and manufacture different challenge coins for police agencies when I was on the job. So I had a little side thing going. I don't do that anymore. I haven't got the time to, but it was great. I've done a lot of cool stuff. And I think it was Durham the canine. I googly goo into my folder of designs, but now I want to look for it. Okay. Waddell Engineering says, seen a lady pass by the OPP holding her cell phone on speakerphone. It was fun waiting for the sirens. Yes, I do not understand how people think that this is hands-free. If you are holding a device in your hand whilst operating your motor vehicle, and one hand is occupied with a telephone, it is not hands-free. No. So many people get this one wrong. But it's on speaker. That's a hands-free mode. If you're not holding it, then your hands are free. If your hands are occupied, you need to you need help. It's but yeah, I always love watching and waiting for the lights to come on. I hope. And it's almost like my kids and I sit and it's a is he gonna get it? Are they did he see it? Yeah. That guy Ed sent the gift. Thank you very much, Ed. Uh, appreciate it. Let's see here. If you're watching and you don't know who I am, it's been about a half an hour, 38 minutes. It's more than a half an hour since we went live. If you're watching and you don't know what this is, and you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Chipper. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. I do that as part of the Canadian Organization for Better Traffic Safety and Education. It's a not-for-profit that I founded when I left the Toronto Police Service, and I do all this stuff because I want to help the roads be safer. Well, I want to help people be safer on the road. I want to educate people about stuff and things. It's a thing that I feel very passionately about, and yeah, I've been doing it since I left. I'll keep doing it as long as I can. And I thank the fine folks at Diamond and Diamond Lawyers and Barrett Legal who actually help financially support the show. It's not like it's raining cash here, but it is certainly helping it because I primarily fund this myself. You wouldn't believe how expensive stuff and things can be. Maybe you can. In any case, yeah, it's a whole new life. Louise just jumped in. Rob Collins, how you doing? David Durkin, how are you? Rob, Will, welcome to the stream. Okay. Tom S says, I know law says you have to bike on the road, but don't you think that riding on a sidewalk is safer? Tom, it depends on where you are. Well, generally speaking, depends on who it's safer for. So in the city of Toronto, bylaws dictate that if you are 14 years old, you must be on the road. And if you are under 14, you can be on the sidewalk. It used to be by diameter of wheel, but it is not that anymore because people were just driving these fold up bikes with tiny tires and they were just occupying the sidewalks, which oddly enough are for pedestrians. They're called pedestrian sidewalks. Some jurisdictions allow them, cyclists on the sidewalk. I don't think that it is a thing. Um, I don't think it's a thing in York Region or outside of Toronto. Hang on one second. Judy has a question. I'll be on. I'll be live at 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, and I need a link. Sorry, one second, guys. I need a link to um, screen grab my scheduling process. Track issues. Unless it's all resolved. I feel like a beta tester sometimes because I find all the problems with new release. Okay. Um, there we go. Put that away. Boom. Nice. So if you talk about the whole cycling on sidewalk, I get that we need to protect cyclists as vulnerable road users. I get that we need to really protect pedestrians from cyclists and motor vehicles. So it's a problem. Like in York Region, I see a lot of cyclists on the sidewalk, but I don't see any pedestrians. This is a community or an area where most people are driving because the system for transit is just not there. I don't see it. In Toronto, I see a lot of pedestrians, and the cyclists should really be on the road. They're vehicles. Is it safer for them? Yeah, car and Tom follows up saying a car hitting bike seems worse than bike hit person. Yes and no. Um, it- Anyone hitting a person bad, anyone hitting a cyclist bad. They're all bad, and we want to avoid people getting hurt. But we've seen pedestrians killed as a result of cyclists and motor vehicles hitting them. The priority has to be that cyclists have to yield or ensure the safety of pedestrians. They're the priority. They have to be. They're the least protected person. The cyclist should at least be wearing a helmet. Oh, oh, really? In York Region, municipal bylaw bans cyclists on sidewalks. I did not know that, Bernhard. Thank you, as the pro for York Region. I see it all the time, but I also again don't see pedestrians. So I assume, but there are a bunch of a Young Street when you cross north. There's like a bunch of bike lanes that look like extended sidewalks. So they have a space for them. They don't need to. What I do see a lot of lately is mini bikes and gas powered devices that are all over the sidewalks. Like mini bikes are, I'm seeing them everywhere. I don't know why people think this is suddenly legal, other than the fact that there's not enough police to take care of well any of it. There's just not enough cops, and you can't be everywhere all the time. Let's see here. What is Oh, okay, Brandon says still working on some details. We'll keep you posted. This is the Disney comment. What is this? Nicholas says, "Are you ever in your hiding spot to catch speeders, but it's now your lunch break? Do you take your break and let speeders go, or do you put down your Subway sandwich, groan, eye roll, heavy sigh, and pull over the speeder?" I don't. I Back when I was doing it, I didn't mix the two. I didn't do. I would go somewhere for lunch. I would completely remove myself because if you're in a high risk area where speeding occurs, you're going to see it and it's going to drive you bananas. At least that's what it would do for me. And two, you're in an area where you're visible and you're going to have people walking up to you and interrupting you while you're eating. I'd rather go to the station and hide out for my lunch break so I'm not interrupted. Those were the days. All right. More from Nicholas Rizzi that we will come back to because he's got a Star Wars dad joke and he has a question about police raiding his house, which I can only imagine is a speculative comment. What do we got here? Oh, Tom says, yes, all pedestrians getting hit is bad for sure. E-bikes are a huge problem. And then there's the e-bikes that aren't e-bikes. And then there are the mobility scooters that aren't mobility scooters. Like we've got a lot of problems. And this is being partially due to the fact that you can buy anything on Amazon or Temu or any of the other places that people just ship things to their houses, open them up and start driving. And they're like, I bought it online. It must be okay. Back in the day, we were somehow smarter because I knew that you weren't allowed to drive a mini bike on the road. And I knew that I wasn't allowed to have a go-kart on the road because those were illegal. And somehow all of those things, nobody knows about it anymore. How does that work? Is it a failure of police to notify the public that everything is illegal? Or is it a failure to give a crap by the public? Or is it just an abundance of stuff and dealers who are so money hungry that they won't tell you that what they're selling you isn't legal in your jurisdiction? And there's just a let's figure it out and try not to get. I just don't know. What do you think? What is the reason people just do whatever the hell they want now? I think it's primarily because we don't have enough police officers. That's the only thing that I keep coming back to, because if we had enough cops, we'd pull them over at every block and tell them that they're done and you're going to get a big ticket. And if it was a kid, we'd, haul that crap back to the house and say, Mom and Dad, do better. Because ultimately, Mom and Dad allowed the kid to do it. Like, and I'm seeing, but then again, I'm also seeing, if you go to my Twitter feed, voiceover cop, you'll see that there are dads, I assume dads, because it was a mini bike and he was a bigger dude, not wearing a helmet, just wearing a pair of goggles, and he was on Dufferin or something. Like he pulled out from a residential street and was going south on Dufferin, I think, to the gas station. Okay, I get it. You don't own a jerry can, but that's a loser program like that. How do you drive an uninsured motor vehicle, a motorcycle on the road because you're just lazy? And maybe he wants to be super dad and get his bike, gassed up for the kid. But to break a whole bunch of laws, I mean, we're talking serious laws. An uninsured motorcycle on the road is a $25,000 fine. It's 2 to 25,000. But still, that's an expensive little experiment. I wish they'd give me the ability, the authority to still write tickets. I'd do it. I would just pull people over. Yeah. 'Cause I see everything. I can't help it. And I want to itch that scratch. Scratch that itch that scratch. Oh my God. It was reverso. Tom says car hitting bike seems worse than hitting. We talked about that. We talked about this. Yes, all pedestrians getting hit. It's bad for sure. E-bikes, yeah, the mobility scooter cars are a huge problem. Tom says the lack of knowing, like license plate covers, everyone sells them, and people don't know it's illegal. I'm sitting talking about it all day long, every day. It's amazing how little we choose to know. I think there's a general lack of interest in knowing stuff. Hey, if you're around tomorrow, and this is a general call for everyone, tomorrow at 10 a.m. I'll be going live again. It'll be light outside, so no after dark, but I will be joined by Jerry Yeager on News Talk 1010 at 10:35. That means I'll be on the air on News Talk 1010, and he'll be on the air here on the interweb. So we'll take questions from his audience, and if you want to ask questions, you can always call into the show. VS says why they gave tickets at outside what? VS wants to know why they gave tickets at outside of my house in GTA. I wish I could answer the question that is so vague. You need to tell me more. What kind of tickets? What was happening? What were the tickets for? Who did they and who are who are they? All these questions. Try my best says, do you not agree that we need self-defense weapons in Toronto? I've lived in the States. I have taken concealed weapons courses. I've carried weapons as a police officer. I was an armed guard once upon a time. Yeah, I think we need that. But I'm not the majority. Majority of Canadians are scared. I think that the only thing you need to be, concerned about are thugs who don't care about the law. So I believe in what the U.S. has in terms of firearms rights and self-defense. Now, that's not to say that you don't have the right to self-defense in Canada. You do. You're allowed to even use lethal force, but it's very specific as to when, and it's very controlled. And firearms aren't really part of it. Although I would argue that you could use a firearm in self-defense. but you have to still abide by all of the regulations in terms of storage, and it's more complicated, and you're probably getting charged. Now, the old adage of better carry what do you call it, tried by 12 and carried by 6. I believe that. Try my best says at least pepper spray. Well, pepper spray. So here's the funny thing about pepper spray: you're not allowed to have certain controlled items. Like you can't have mace, which is actually or tear gas. Those are prohibited weapons or substances, and you'd be charged very specifically for those. But let's say you were carrying, well, I don't know, dog repellent because you're afraid of dogs. So if you get, or if you're, or you have a dog, you want to protect your dog from other dogs or coyotes or whatnot, you can carry dog repellent. And at the time where your life is in danger and you use that dog repellent against a human, you are breaking the law. You're using a weapon of opportunity, a weapon that you didn't decide or you didn't intend to carry for the purposes of using against humans, but you use it in the moment because your life is at risk. If you do that, while you may still be charged, you're unlikely to be convicted. It's sad because in the States, you probably get a medal for defending yourself, or taking a bad guy out. And here, you're probably gonna have some legal bills. But at the end of the day, I think you need to protect yourself, and the best thing you can do is disengage and get out of there. I watch a lot of tactical stuff, and I like one of the guys whose name I cannot remember right now, but he talks about if you're dealing with someone who's armed with a firearm, he suggests you get close, and if it's someone with a knife, you get far. And running away, disengaging is still the number one tool in defense. Like get out of there. It's not about stand your ground, which most people want to support. Anyway, Tom wants to know if I was OPP or Toronto Metro. I was Toronto Police. I joined the service in 2000, left in 2024 at the end of it. VS says parking ticket, Toronto Police. Why did they give tickets outside my home in the GTA? Because in the city of Toronto, there's a 3-hour limit to street parking, unless you have an accessibility pass, and then it's 24 hours. So that's it. Try my best says thank you, and I see here. Melody says someday I won't slam the brakes in time, and I will run over an e-bike. I probably won't be overly sad. I gotta say, I'm really not specifically e-bikes, but have you heard what came out of Florida? Florida, the governor actually got on the horn and said that if you are being held up by protesters, if you're in fear of your life in Florida, you can drive over protesters in Florida. Um, and I'm like, e-bikes don't qualify, but that's what I thought of immediately upon reading your comment. Let's see here. You versus me equals miss something, and I don't know what the rest is. It's truncated. How would I go about changing my level 5 NS license into an Ontario G license? So what you would do, and I don't even know what a level 5 is because I never remember what that codec is. If you go into a Ministry of Transportation office, which is a Service Ontario location, and you present your qualifications, your license to them, and tell them you're changing your residency to that of Ontario, they will facilitate the change. That is my understanding that it all happens there. I don't think you have to go to drive test. I believe it all happens at Service Ontario. Pretty cool thing. My dad turns 80 this year, and I went in to take care of a bunch of things. He's selling a car, and at the same time, I said, "What's the process?" Because I've never had to deal with the fact that someone who turns 80 has to take a test. My grandfather, when he was driving, drove until he was 94, so he was obviously very versed in it. But we never had that conversation. I was too young, or I don't know. Actually, I wasn't. I was on the job, but we never had the conversation anyway. So we go in. I asked a question, and my father did a test. It was a vision test, and then another test where it's a cognitive ability test. They basically tell you to draw a clock, and they have some questions about it. Very, very interesting. Not that difficult, but it was cool to see the process for the first time in person. I knew things happened, didn't know what it was. So there you go. But that would be the way to go and change it. Tom says, in the new scooters that people rent, they can go out. Oh, they can go to, he says they can go to HE double hockey sticks. Yeah, I've been driving a lot in York region lately. I was just up in Barrie today, and I'm seeing these rental scooters everywhere at intersections, on the ground, standing. It is gross. I don't like these things, and Toronto doesn't have them. They're prohibited. All scooters are prohibited in Toronto, and yet York Region, they're just standing at street corners for rent. I think that this is a mistake. I think they're dangerous and people shouldn't use them. I think they're great for private property if you want to take your own risk and not be responsible. But I think that driving through intersections, I see people going on these giant scooters capable of 100 kilometers an hour. Um, at least the ones that I've seen online are capable of 100 kilometers an hour. The ones that I see in person that are enormous, I assume, are of the same ilk. Okay. Tom follows up and says, "It's a long shot, but did you know a fellow Toronto?" I don't recognize the name Halkett. I might know him to see him, but I don't know. Okay, let's have a look here. What is this? He said, "This is Nicholas Rizzi who says, if police raid into my house because they think I'm hiding drugs and guns, so they break down my door, scaring my family, destroying my house, but later the cops discover they raided the wrong house, do they help me clean my house and pay for the damages and apologies?" Apologize. I imagine they would apologize. Whether they do or don't, it's irrelevant. They would be paying for it. Whether they help clean it up, probably not. They're probably going to go find where they screwed up and then get into big trouble. But they would definitely be paying for it. That's something that the service would be responsible for. They would be responsible for, and it happens. They break down the wrong door. They replace the door. They don't sweep up the garbage for you. But you could probably submit a bill. Yeah, funny how that works. What do we got here? 56 minutes of live stream thus far. We are going to hold or call it a hard, shut down at the hour, or at least very close to it. Maverick, what's going on? Good to see you. Just Samantha, how are you? Shanice Gibson, we see you. What else is going on? What else is going on? Tom S says, "Have a great night, all. Have a great night for you, you too, Tom. Thanks for all the questions. I like bicycle questions. I'm a cycle. A lot of people think I hate cyclists. I don't. I have an appreciation for all road users. I do. I don't like cyclists who don't follow the law. That I have a problem with. But that's a lawbreaker thing, not a mode of transportation thing. My goodness, did I get hate back in the day from the cycling community because I suggested. I know this is gonna be a shocker. I suggested people wear helmets. That did not go over well. They wrote to the chief and tried to get me removed as a media relations officer because I suggested it, which I thought, I really thought it was an odd response. Let's see here. Oh, gosh. Nicholas, who is the asker of many questions, says, "What are your thoughts on the oddly more common today mall jewelry smash and grab thieves? Back in my day, if I wanted to rob a jewelry store, I'd do it in the middle of the night, cut a hole in the roof, repel myself down through the glass." Then he goes on, it's cut off on the screen, but he continues to say, "Where the good diamonds are, and disappear via smoke bomb, grappling hook. Those were the days." This is where I think that armed guards are required. And I really think that the like I was having this conversation with someone today. Armed guards don't shoot people for stealing stuff. I was a Brinks guard. You can only use your firearm to save your life or the life of another. Same as police. They don't shoot you for stealing stuff. Um, but I kind of think they should. Like, I know I'm a big bad meanie who says that bad guys who are stealing stuff should get shot. Maybe there'd be fewer people stealing stuff. I don't care how old they are. If you're stealing stuff, they should stop you. I'm just saying. I know it's not a popular statement, but I buy it. All right. Liz says, "Speaking of safety, I was in high school during the Bernardo attacks and murders. A TPS detective visited my school and said, use our house or car key if in danger, as we can't have knives or mace." So keys. So here's the thing. Anything you do that's used as a weapon is a weapon. So if you use a pencil as a weapon, like John Wick, it's a weapon. It's a weapon of opportunity, but it's a weapon. Same thing as keys in your keychain. And for the longest time, people were told carry your car keys in your hand, almost as brass knuckles, or it's protruding from your fingers. So when you punch someone, you're hurting them. I don't know why we just don't let people carry weapons, and except for the argument that if you have a weapon, it's more likely to be used against you. But if you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna have it taken away from you and used against you. Knives, you can carry knives. You can't carry knives as weapons. It's a silly thing. So if I carry a knife because I eat apples and like to cut my apples, that's carrying a piece of cutlery. If I'm using it for cutting boxes, it's for work. It's a tool. I carry it for self-defense. It's a weapon. And designating it as such changes the way it's looked at by the law and by the police officer who's investigating you. So if I'm carrying a knife and you say, "Why do you carry a knife?" It's like, it's dangerous here. I carry it for self-defense. Well, you're carrying a weapon. You weren't carrying a weapon if you were using it for cutting apples from boxes. Like, it's a silly thing. It is. Why shouldn't we be able to anyway? I digress. Maverick says so many aggressive cyclists now. There's people who are aggressive everywhere in all aspects. It's not just cyclists. The drivers, like, there's such a-hole drivers out there. Like, I got passed by a truck who cut me off. Well, I know what happened. He cut me off just before we approached the OPP officer who was sitting doing radar. So what he was planning on doing was passing and hitting the gas. And as soon as he saw the OPP officer, he slowed down. But I had to slow down, otherwise I would have been attached to his bumper. He was a real D-bag. That guy Ed says, thinking about being a deputy, what are the pros and cons? Deputy where, Ed? Are you talking about being a reserve deputy, a full-time deputy? Or are you in this somewhere in the States? Jurisdictional, the way things are handled in the States versus Canada, very different. We don't have sheriff's deputies per se. We do have a sheriff's office. They do evictions. They're not really an enforcement thing. Houston, Texas. Ed, you've been on, we talked before. You've mentioned this before. First of all, a sheriff, so you have different jurisdictional boundaries in the United States. You have you have your state, which is your state trooper. You have your county, and that's your sheriff's jurisdiction. And sheriffs are generally taking care of the jail responsibility, and now more and more they're handling also investigations and such. Until you get a city that is large enough to have a police service that focuses on that jurisdiction. So I think it's great. If like, I've got friends that volunteer as reserve officers, and they work at sheriff's offices and police offices in the States as reserve officers. So they have to go to the same college, the same training, but then they work part-time. They volunteer and they also get to work paid duties. If you want to do it, you should totally do it. I think policing is the best job in the world. I'd still be doing it if it wasn't for my particular life situation. Okay. What do we have here? That 5.7 Hemi says, do the police accept a tint exemption? In Ontario, there is no tint exemption. We've had this conversation a lot. Melody has somebody that we're following up with who has an alleged tint exemption. I don't see anything in law that says you can have an exemption in Canada or in Ontario in particular. There are Canadian provinces that do have them, but there's nothing in Ontario that says you can have an exemption. So sunglasses are it. You want to, you've got skin conditions. You wear shirts that have it. You can have a covering on your window that is for UV blocking, but not not tint blocking. And you think about it. You tint a window, you make your vehicle unsafe not only for you, but for the pedestrians who are and other motorists who are trying to communicate with you non-verbally. There's a lot of reasons why you should not have tint, at least not dark tint that prevents us from seeing inside. There's also officer safety concerns. There's a whole bunch of stuff. So no, there's no exemption in Ontario. I don't think there should be exemptions anywhere. Yeah. And if you have a medical condition, there's other ways of dealing with it. Like I said, the coatings, and most modern vehicles have UV coatings already. So it's just a bright light, and I get it. Dark tinted glasses. Shane suggests samurai sword. Samurai swords, you can own a samurai sword, but bringing that out in public could be a problem. Weapons dangerous charges come to mind. Let's see here. And it's hard to say that you're cutting apples with that or boxes, although it could be true for both. Seen some pretty cool videos of people using them in the kitchen. Melody says, my truck is full of weapons. I have a reason for each one being with me, including six ball bats at the moment, because Melody is going to baseball. What do we have here? Thank you, Maverick, for sharing the live. And that guy, Ed, good luck to you with your becoming a sheriff. What do we got here? Ooh, we have... Oh, Nicholas says, what if I see a mall jewel thief and I stop them by beating them with a velvet rope? Do the cops arrest me for assault or am I a hero? So you have to understand, powers of arrest in the country, Canada. And that is, if someone has the lawful authority and is giving chase to people who are thieves, so security guard at the premise, and they're chasing someone who has lawful authority, and they say, "Stop that guy," and you take that velvet rope and you put the guy and drop him, you're assisting in the arrest of someone who has the lawful authority to use force, and you can actually do that. You need to make sure you're not doing that in error. Now, granted, if you believe based on everything presented that the person has the lawful authority, you'd be acting in good faith. But let's say you just see someone running and you take them out because you think they're a thief. That's a problem. Then you're assaulted. You're going to get charged. Shane says, no, he was just walking on the street. Shane's talking about a samurai sword wielding person. Yeah, walking, brandishing a weapon, causing public concern, whether it be a firearm or that is a problem. So samurai sword could be a real problem. Velvet rope, it sounds like you're getting into some stuff like extracurricular activities. Anyway, that is another story. What are we looking at here? Boom. Checking out what's going on. I want to make sure we're up to date. Let's look at some of these dad jokes as we start to wrap up the live stream for today. But I will be back tomorrow at 10 o'clock, and at 10:35, I'll be joined by Jerry Yeager on News Talk 1010. I didn't hear any issues with audio, although tomorrow might be an issue. Here's a little check for audio. Can you hear this? Can you hear the audio? Is that working? Let's just do a little test.
Steel horse roars on the open
Hey, music came through. Okay, that was just a test to see if music worked. Here's a dad joke from Bernhard, who sent it earlier. Says, what did the football coach say to the vending machine? Give me my quarterback. Give me my quarterback. It's not bad. My delivery sucked, but the joke's not bad. Nicholas earlier asked if I played cops and robbers with my kids, but play way too seriously to the point where your wife needs to remind you to take it back a few notches. No. Oddly enough, we've never played cops and robbers. I have no desire to run. So that's a thing. We talked about this. Here's a dad joke from Nicholas Rizzi. Star Wars dad joke. I'm almost nervous to find out what this is going to be. What do you call a droid that keeps getting lost all the time? R2 detour. I like that. That's actually pretty good, and it's not as dark or ominous as one Mr. Rizzi has been in the past. The dark jokes are dark. Let's see here. Shane says small keyboard. What is this one? Pike driver, a dad joke isn't a dad joke until it's a full grown. Until it's full grown. Again, delivery screwed up here. Dad joke isn't a dad joke until it's full grown. I got it. But I didn't read it right because I thought it was just a comment. I had to preface it with a hashtag dad joke so I know what it is. Thanks for that though, Pike driver. I was just reading it as a sentence, not realizing delivery was required. Brad says, you're appreciated so much. Thank you. Thank you, Brad. I appreciate the appreciation. The police fan apparently liked the joke with an LOL delivered. And what's going on here? What's the funniest traffic law that exists? That's the police fan. I don't know about funny. I mean, I know there's a HTA offense for not using sleigh bells appropriately or something along those lines. Let's see. We can actually look this up. See if I can find the sleigh bells charge. HTA. Where is HTA? Here we go. Bell. What do we have here? No sleigh bells. Section 77 sub 1 of the Highway Traffic Act. No sleigh bells. Set fine $5. Total payable $20 because there's a $15 victim fine surcharge. Every person traveling on a highway with a sleigh or sled drawn by a horse or other animal shall have at least 2 bells attached to the harness or to the sleigh or sled in such a manner as to give ample warning sound. There you have it. That might be the silliest. I mean, it's legitimate for those who are. I mean, why even lay the charge? Really, $5? So that might be it. But I do know someone, a particular sergeant, who shall be not named at the moment. He actually has a conviction. He has not been convicted of it, but he has managed to convict someone of it. And it was a kind of funny story because it was through a negotiation. That wasn't the offense they initially had. User 5819 says, if my BMW pops, my BMW pops aggressively from factory, can I get a ticket for exhaust even though it's OEM? Yes. If you are having an obnoxiously loud exhaust and it's based on driving behavior, unnecessary noise could absolutely be up. If it's got a minor, it's just minor popping at idle, minor popping at general use, probably not an issue. If it is, an issue where you're revving it and it's making snap crackle pops loud, that's behavioral or defect. I think it's obnoxious sound. I really think it's ridiculous. And when it's really bad, like it's being programmed into the system. It's not required for operation. It's people thinking it sounds cool, so they put it in. It's silly. I would get it tuned. Um, Melody says, out in Amish country, it would be a legitimate requirement. Yes, but would you really lay a charge for no bells like $5? I wouldn't bother laying the charge. That's what I mean. Shahir says, you missed the question above this. Did you mean the BMW pops aggressively question? Because I just read that one before I read yours. But thank you for the reminder in case that was what you were. There's a delay from when I speak to when you hear it. It's a couple of seconds. So, Jake, you're late. Jake Ed joined, and of course, I'm about to say goodbye. So, what is this? Oh, Braden Mazzella. Braden says, when you see the sign that says 50 begins coming off an 80, how soon should you slow down to 50? Before you cross the sign. Because when it says 50 begins, it actually means where that sign is. And if you're exceeding the posted speed limit at that sign, you're eligible for a ticket. Now, most officers won't set up right there, but they'd be eligible to. They'd be within their rights to lay a charge at that sign. If they were to, this is how an officer would do this. They would set up they'd measure. And remember, a laser speed measurement device will measure distance. So they would sit from their posted spot, they'd hit the sign, and they'd measure your speed. If your speed was measured within the confines of that sign, within the distance after the sign, you're good. You're good for the charge. Boondocks Beard Co. What's going on, my friend? I was going to ask you if I can share the video you sent me about your experience changing your ownership. I'd be meaning to reach out to you. And the other thing is I still haven't opened your box. I have been to the office for a very quick visit. I want to spend more time, and I want to do that unboxing. Shahir says, you missed it again. It's right above Braden's question. No, right above Braden's question? Right above Braden's question is, out in Amish country, it would be a legitimate requirement. Is there something else that we're seeing? Hold on a second. It's something that you might be seeing, but it may be filtered out by, if it was something you sent, it may have been filtered out by TikTok. It does do that. They automatically remove things that are potentially a problem for the rest of the world. But I don't see anything above there. So if you want to rephrase it so it gets through, yes. My horse question mark? What is the horse? I'm looking for I only see Braden Mazzolas when you see a sign that says 50 question. And then above that, it's Melody's question about Amish country. So I don't see that. And then above Shahir's original saying you missed the question above this, says if my BMW pops. So if I'm not seeing something, maybe throw it into the other platforms. The police fan says or asks, is all 401 highway now 110? I have not been near Toronto in a while. No, it's certain sections of the of 401 and 404 that have been up to 110. It's only where it's signed, and it's small section, like the northbound 404. It's like 16 kilometers of road that is now 110. Shahir keeps on saying, you missed it again. And it's not here. I don't see it. What is this? User 5819 says, I got a ticket for exhaust and stuff. Officer claiming I got down pipes by my car's OEM. How to prove it? You would go to the mechanic. You would go to a mechanic and you would have them, actually write You'd either bring them as a witness, but you'd write a letter saying your equipment is stock and it produces something, or maybe get a video. I mean, I'm trying to be creative. I'm not a defense guy, but if you had taken your vehicle to the mechanic and they're saying this is what the vehicle sounds like, it is completely stock, and if it's creating a snap, crackle, pop, it's part of the normal operation of the vehicle. Get them to say that. Get something on paper from BMW. I'm sure that they sell the car that way. They should be able to support it for the purposes of court. Like they probably have a million customers who would need that letter or that video. Lucas says, how have I not been pulled over in over 30 what is this? How have I not been pulled over on over 30 cop interactions on my Suron, no plate tag or license? I'm assuming that they don't realize that your Suron is absolutely illegal and not permitted on the road. So they should be charging you for no insurance, no license, no plate, unsafe motor vehicle, but they just don't know. If they took the course that I produced for the Toronto Police, they would know, because I do a whole section on Suron, because it's absolutely not a lawful use of that vehicle. It cannot be anywhere on the road, private property only. Da, da, da. Anakin says, I got stopped on my e-bike tonight and got a ticket because it goes over 75 kilometers an hour. Is that illegal? I'm 15. Oh my God. So first of all, um, let's start with the fact that you're 15. If you are in the province of Ontario, you must be 16 to operate an e-bike. So if you are 15, you are eligible for a charge just there alone. Now, 75 kilometers an hour, if it's capable of doing that speed, it's not an e-bike, it's an electric motorcycle, and you should be charged with drive no license, no insurance, unsafe motor vehicle. It's the Suron question. Yeah, it's totally illegal. So the fact that you weren't charged and or if you were allowed to ride at home, you got off really lucky, because I would have charged you for everything. I would have charged your parents for letting you drive a motor vehicle while not licensed, not insured. That would have been a big honking problem for everybody involved, and a lot of paperwork for me. Bernhard says above the bimmer. How do you? Is everyone seeing it except me? The thing above the bimmer is an LOL and the funniest traffic law. And Shane, who said small keyboard. I've literally read everything. I don't see anything else there. Yeah. Shane says e-bikes don't go over 35K. Actually, it's 32 kilometers an hour is the legal. If it goes 35K, it's illegal. 32 kilometers an hour on a flat surface is the legal maximum. It cannot have more than 500 watts motor, which all the Surons have like 2,000 watt motors or 18,000 kilowatt motors. Like they're totally illegal. User says, can I run a catted downpipe on my BMW? It's a high flow cat, but it still has a cat. You could have, if your high flow cat is permitted. You say downpipe. Are you talking about a straight pipe out and not going through a muffler? Because that would be illegal. You got to have a muffler. But a cat, if you have a free flow cat that's legal, there are legal standards, then it would be okay. Melody says MTO could inspect the vehicle. What are you responding to? Oh, Boondock Beer Company says too shy to share the video. I'll share it, not by way of I'll just talk about the fact that you sent me a video. That's cool. What is this? Laxdad says, can you see my question? I see the question that says, can you see my question? But I don't see the other portion of your question. I don't know why so many things are being clipped by the platform. Let me see if I can see it by looking at other. I see the police fan asking about brightest. Why is that being not coming through? Unless it's somewhere else. Hang on. Oh no, it's okay. Let me go back here. Yeah, it's weird. I don't see the question from Laxdad. Very odd behavior here. What's the brightest headlights you can have on your car? Melody, what's the brightest headlight you can have in your car? I don't know what the maximum is offhand, but I know there is a maximum. Scarborough 15 says, former. What happened, Sean? When did you quit TPS? I left at the end of August. September 2nd was my official last day on paper. I was turning 50 a week later. Sakina says, someone told me speeding cameras only take pics of the traffic going in the direction it's facing. That's correct. It doesn't come, at least in most jurisdictions, it would not get oncoming traffic. Mean MK5 says, hey, Sean, was wondering what the difference between an exhaust ticket and an excessive noise ticket is. It's pretty simple. One is a ticket for having an improper exhaust. It is about having a lack of equipment in place or the inappropriate equipment that's not doing what's required. So you can get an excessive noise ticket for creating noise that could be even with the proper equipment. So you could have a totally stock car, but you want to drive at 9,000 RPM and rev high and make noise. That's going to get you an excessive noise ticket, yeah, excessive noise. And then if you have no exhaust, that would be an additional ticket or improper exhaust. So you can get tickets for faulty equipment, for lack of equipment. It's just not there, straight pipe. But you can also get a ticket based on behavior, and the behavior would just be the noise without the. Because if you had correct equipment, but the combination is very common. Jack says I was given a written warning by an officer, but he did not know how fast I was going. Jack, were you talking about? Is this in relation to something we talked about already? No, this is somebody new. So if you got it printed, you don't speed is anything over the posted speed limit. You don't need a speed to really to lay a charge of speeding. You don't have to have a specific speed. Even if I was just seeing you going faster than everybody else, if I could estimate that everyone else was doing the limit, but you were going way faster, pulling you over and giving you a warning for speeding would be legitimate. It's I can tell if you're speeding. I can estimate speed. It doesn't have to be accurate. In fact, you can lay charges based on that. The only thing the actual speed is good for is calculating the fine. It wouldn't even be required for a warning. Laxdad says I've entered it 3 times. I don't know why. If you go to, and you know what you can do? Email me at voiceovercop@gmail. You can DM me. I do respond to them, although I don't always respond right away. It might take me a day or so to get back to you. But you can certainly find other ways. If you go to if you go to askatrafficcop.ca, you can leave me voicemail. I can actually play it in tomorrow's live stream if you send me voicemail. Patrick says, informative. Andy Talk says, quick question. Who has the right of way? A car going uphill or downhill? It's not based on the up or down a hill for right of way. I mean, it's based on visibility. So that's not exactly a fair question in terms of right of way is usually a situation of visibility. And even then, because if you're going up a hill, you can't see what's on the other side, but the person going down the hill can see for ages. That's why you see the dotted lines and the solid lines. But it's still not a right of way thing so much. Anyone who's not turning, if you're turning, you don't have right of way. Steak says our clear license plate cover is legal. License plate covers are technically not legal at all. DM416 says, hey Sean, what's your YouTube channel name and where can I watch the G1 bits? Voiceover Cop. If you go to askatrafficcop.ca, there's links to it, but you can actually hit a button and follow it right from the website. But it's Voiceover Cop. But go to askatrafficcop.ca. It's the best way to get there. And the G1 vids are there, although they're slower. They're coming out slower than I thought. I really do want your opinion though. The last episode or in version or update, the next chapter section, it's actually not me reading it. I'm using an AI avatar, and I'm hoping that this is well received because it'll allow me to also produce in other languages, which I really want to do. I want to help a lot of the newcomers and folks who need other languages. So let me know what you think of that. I prefer reading it myself, but it's just very, very time consuming. You wouldn't think that reading a chapter takes so much time, but to get a clean read, it does. Can you change lanes while going through an intersection? That's John asking the question. And legally, yes, as long as you don't cause any issues. There's no law preventing people from crossing lanes or changing lanes in an intersection. Although I like to say that in intersections like the stage at your high school or your favorite play, or everyone's got a part to play. And when you deviate from the plan, the script, bad things happen. And if you change lanes in an intersection, although it's legal and you cause a collision, it's still a collision and you're still responsible. Let's see here. Chappie Sinclair Chappie Sinclair, was that not a character from a Eagle something movies with the dog fighting in the 80s, 90s? Oh, come on. Hang on a second. Eagle Talon something movie character. Yeah. Hell yes. Louis Gossett Jr. Iron Eagle. There we go. Awesomeness. So the question from Chappie Sinclair. By the way, I love those movies. And he had a tape deck that he put on his right leg, right when he flew the plane. I'm gonna go watch that movie right now. Do the municipal speed cameras have a hard limit, or is there any leeway? It's about it's 8 to 10. I spoke to a buddy of mine who got a ticket for 8 over. And I would normally say it's about 10, but he got one for 8 over. Woo Woo says, "Did you quit policing?" I left at yeah, I left early. I had stuff and things that came up in life that required me to make a change. I still do this to give back to the community because I love it. But I did leave policing at the end of 20, just under 25 years. I joined in 2000 and left in 2024. What do we got here? Anakin says the officer said it was a gas powered vehicle, but I tried telling them it was an e-bike. Anakin. Where's the rest of it? It's the follow up to something else. Was that the 75 km an hour? Oh, 1 second. Anakin. Looking for your previous. I want to get the context. Okay, this is Anakin's the 15-year-old driving an e-bike that goes 75. It doesn't matter if it's gas or electric. If it goes 75, if it goes more than 32 kilometers an hour, it's a motor vehicle. It's a motorcycle. So it doesn't matter at all. Mr. Steak, what's going on? Thanks for the roses, brother. I got to come back for a visit. Speaking of steak, best tomahawk steak I've had in a long, long time was at Mr. Steak's place. Okay. No restriction on lumens. HID bulbs must display HGDC, DR, or DCR codes. I think the biggest issue is color spectrum. If they're blue, which a lot of the cheapy stuff would produce, it's not within the color spectrum. So no restriction on lumens. Good to know. Lucas says those dudes that go over 350 kilometers an hour on highways on sport bikes, do they ever get caught? They usually crash and take care of the problem themselves, but it's criminal. I would charge someone criminally for that. But they do occasionally get caught, or they get very, very unalived. Sean Campbell says, if I don't, what is the fine? If I don't, what is the fine? This is the problem with making short statements when the previous, out of context. I don't know what you're talking about. Is it CM Punk wants to know if it's illegal to look at an Apple Watch while you're driving? So looking at it to tell time, not illegal. Reading messages, it is illegal. It's the same as using your cell phone. You're focused on it. It's a communication device. Like my Apple Watch has a SIM, eSIM. It works with LTE. I can send messages. I can receive messages. If I'm twiddling with the screen, I'm absolutely interacting with it. So yeah. Aiden says, "What you think of bail?" I like jail, not bail. I'm a big fan of jail. I think people who break the law need to be in jail. John says, "Thanks for that info." You're welcome. I just don't know what you were talking about. Mr. Steak says, being really frustrating seeing so many cyclists blowing through stop signs. It chaps my ass. I can't stand it. People need it's all road users need to follow the law and strictly. And if they don't, they need to be held accountable and charged appropriately. Owen says, why don't cops fully stop at stop signs? Maybe the cops you've seen, but I've always stopped at stop signs. So to say that cops don't fully stop at stop signs, I think is inaccurate. I think you're possibly maybe um, exaggerating or painting all with a brush that is wider than the ones. There's no question that some cops are bad drivers, and some cops don't fully stop at anything. Most people don't drive properly. Anyone who breaks the law should be held accountable. Do I have a family member called Ben? Not that I'm aware of. Jack Black, Steve, Sebs. Yeah, I've got a guy. One of the kids at one of the classmates at my kid's school said I wanted to know if I was Steve. So yeah. DJ Mills is okay. American Eagle, yes. Chappie Sinclair, right on. Okay. What do we got here? Oh, hang on. This is good. Hey, Will, how's it going? From Niche Security, I see you. What is the punishment for drivers intentionally harassing pedestrians? What is intentionally harassing pedestrians? I hurt my back earlier. So everything hurts. And I've been sitting in one position for an hour and a half. I said I was leaving in an hour, but I'm still here. So what's the punishment for, like splashing them by driving it? So Shay, it would be hard to determine whether or not the splashing them was intentional. Like if they went around the block and came back and splashed them again, I would say that's intentional. If they splashed them with a puddle, that's not harassing them. That's going through a puddle on a rainy day. It would be hard to prove. There's no particular law that I'm aware of that says you can't drive on the road. And if someone gets splashed, they get splashed. But again, how would you prove the intent? So I don't have a good answer for you. Chris PB Baconator, P Baconator, just P Baconator. Gotcha. Why do cops let other cops off for things like DUI and speeding? Seems kind of evil, don't it? Well, I can tell you that they don't let people off for DUI. I've arrested members of police families, like the son of a police officer. I've arrested them. I've never had a DUI situation where I was in a position to have to arrest a police officer because I had never found one. But I have a colleague and friend who was arrested after he was found in the middle of an intersection asleep. He didn't get off. It screwed up his life. Yeah. So to suggest that police officers get away with something that they don't get away with because there's a belief that they get away with is inaccurate. It's absolutely inaccurate. It's possible. Like I've seen videos of chiefs of police being arrested for impaired operation. There's nobody getting away with anything in this day and age. Maybe once upon a time it happened. It ain't happening now. In terms of speeding, yeah, it does happen. You know what else happens? Civilians get warnings for breaking the law too. Now, I would much rather give a police officer a warning than somebody who is not a police officer. Why? Well, first of all, they may have a reason for doing it. And if I'm going to give someone a warning, why wouldn't I give a police officer a warning or a paramedic or a doctor or anyone? Like if they take responsibility or have a valid reason, it's a possibility that they get a warning. But if they don't, and how egregious it is, was it 10 over? Most cops don't even pull people over until 10 over. Okay. Was it 150? Was it stunt driving? We've had police officers on duty have their police cars impounded for it. So, yeah. It's a lot of people think that there's a lot of willy-nilly everyone gets a free ride. It's not like that. Not. But I like to push buttons when people ask me that because I think it's silly. Like if you want all warnings to go away, then don't expect a warning because civilians get warnings too. I just like pushing buttons. Are radar detectors illegal? Are radar detectors in Ontario illegal? Yes, they are illegal. What do you think of the current bail system? I think it's broken. DM416 says my Uber driver was going down the right lane and then in the middle of the road did a U-turn. Well, your Uber driver shouldn't be licensed from the sounds of it. Headlights must project. We talked about this. So headlamps must project white. Okay, Melody's going to look back. So back in the 80s, headlamps could be yellow too. And in the HTA for charges to be laid, yellow would be permitted. Usually it's fog lights, but yeah, for your safety certification, I guess it has to be white only now. Aiden wants to know if TPS should get a bigger budget, especially with Peel getting such a big increase. We need more cops. We have Stephen, who jumped on. I saw you. Sorry, Stephen. I saw you Stephen also is on YouTube. It jumped in and say, how you doing today? I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. Is it illegal to go through a yellow light? That's CM Punk asking the question. So the deal is that yellow light means stop unless it's unsafe to do so. So if you were approaching a yellow light, you're expected to slow down unless you were past the point of no return, and it would be so unsafe for you to stop that you have no choice. The people who are hitting the gas to go through, that's illegal, and you can get charged for running a yellow light. User says, someone stole my back. Should I go get it back? Doesn't sound as funny as I thought it would. What is this? It's Nicholas's. Do you drive? What is this? Nicholas says, I don't understand why so many people drive and use their cell phones. My cell phone turns off automatically when it senses me driving. How do everyone else put their phones to work while driving? People who just don't get the concept of safety. They think they can get away with anything. Uh, Everyday idiots on the road sounds like an account I want to follow. They followed me. I'll have to follow them back. Um, Oh, Will wants to know what my thoughts are on the new proposed security card laws. What are I'm not familiar with them. I mean, I looked at opening a security company many moons ago before I even joined the police service, and I knew that you could not have anything that looked like a police car. What are the new laws? Or send me a link. Do me a favor, send me a link. Ex Cartier? What do you think about the castle law? Do you think Canada should implement this to protect your family? Castle law is in Florida. Castle, deals with your vehicle and your house, but ultimately it means that you don't have to retreat. That's the only thing it really. It doesn't mean you can just shoot people willy nilly. It means that you don't have an obligation to attempt to retreat before engaging. Castle law here wouldn't be very effective because you're not allowed to just shoot people. like you, no one like it's more than just a dealing with Richard. Let me make sure I'm quoting this correctly. Hang on a second. Cartel Castle. I think it's called Castle Doctrine. Da, 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 da. Legal principle allows a person to use reasonable force, including deadly force, to defend themselves against an intruder in their home without the duty to retreat. I was correct. So you already have the ability to use deadly force, but you have an obligation to try and disengage. It's only in last resort that you can do that you can actually use that force, and you can only use deadly force in the event that there is immediate, imminent, risk of death or bodily harm to yourself or another. We kind of have that already. Like if someone's over you in bed, you're finished. Like where are you going to use it? There's a state of Florida is a stand your ground state. Period. No longer a duty to run away. Castle law, I think, applies everywhere. In any case, it's interesting. I'm very much a firearms guy. I think that you should have a right to defend yourself, and you do have a right to defend yourself. But in Canada, instead of getting a medal for defending yourself, you're probably going to spend some time in jail and then lose your job after you fight for years in court to defend yourself. Devin says, "Hi, Sean. Hi, back, Devin. XDR homeless. What is this? What laws does school bus drivers have to follow? A whole bunch of them. They have to have their bus license. They have to conform to all regulations governing those. Like you're asking a question that has a lot of stuff to cover. Nellie's Firehouse Gaming says, "Howdy from your firefighter friend in northeastern Ontario. How's it going?" Canadian Starboy says they don't. I don't know what we're saying they do or they don't. I've lost the context of that string. Schloke says, "How do police officers check tint percentage? They don't need to. They would a tint meter in some jurisdictions would be required if the legislation requires a specific number to lay the charge, but obscuring the interior of your vehicle or making an obvious determination that your tint is so dark that you can't see inside. 30% is not dark, and that's the legal limit for safe vehicle. Um, if it was so dark that I couldn't see inside, obviously it's beyond the legal limit. So unsafe motor vehicle, take your plates and lay the charge for obscure interior. No number needs to be established. It's based on the observations and opinion. Boy, I try to go leave early. I'm going to end up with a 2-hour live stream. Tanner Ogilvy says, "Is running from the cops while under the influence and getting a fleeing charge instead cheaper?" No, because no, that's really dumb. You go criminal, and then you still get your impaired stuff when you get caught. It's just dumb. Don't run from the police. Don't drink and drive. Don't do drugs and drive, but don't run from the police. That's also a way to get really hurt. Susan Walker 6172 says, "To serve and collect. We don't need more of that." Susan, you're a moron. You're welcome. It's not serve and collect. It's about changing driver behavior, making roads safer for everyone. If you don't understand that, you don't understand much. It's not about like You would prefer that people get away with stuff, make roads unsafe, and maybe take the life of someone you love? You need your head checked. But you just like you don't want to get a ticket because you obviously get a lot of tickets. Otherwise, you wouldn't have this bizarre opinion about to serve and collect. We don't get commission. Police officers don't get a free toaster or a vacation to Florida for writing tickets. They do it because it's about changing driver behavior. Banana, Susan. Come on, do better. What is this? Nellie's Firehouse Gaming says, in my case, if I'm using my cell phone while I'm driving, it's usually an emergency situation. Yeah, you're exempt as a firefighter. I think that would be justified. I mean, there's an exemption for a fire department, the operation of a fire. The question is if are you full time or are you volunteer? Because the volunteers, I don't know if it covers them, quite honestly. But the wording, we'd have to look at it. But if you're driving a fire truck, you're exempt. Okay. Everyday idiots on the road is the username. I think I don't know if there's more to it, but he says, "Can I get a shout out to my account, please? I'm just starting TikTok and content creation journey. Good luck to you." Will's going to send me add me on LinkedIn and send me some stuff. Oh, interesting. No push bumpers. I mean, there's no reason to have push bumpers, so I could see that being a thing. It's also unsafe. Changes the dynamics of a collision. Weiser's Dog wants to know if it's illegal to keep your trailer hitch ball on when you're not towing something. There's no law that I'm aware of that would be appropriate. And then what is this? In terms of other provinces, places, they might have laws. I've heard people being threatened about it. The biggest problem I see with it is getting your shin beat up when you walk by it. Okay, talked about that. Darren Gofton says, "Why don't police officers enforce semi trucks speeding through construction zones on 400 series highways?" Uh, Police enforce all sorts of things. They have to see it to enforce it. They have to be paying attention to and notice it. But they do enforce all sorts of things. And then CVOR, commercial motor vehicle inspections, they hammer those truckers. But there's not enough cops to catch everybody. Ex Cartier says, "Don't you have a split second to make that decision? Either your life or theirs need better laws." I don't disagree. It's not. It's less the laws. It's. I mean, I believe in your ability to, um, what do you call it? Defend yourself. Only Jokers FLR says, "Do you guys really not mess with Haggerty insured cars?" I don't know what you're talking about. Canadian Starboy, that was an old answer. Yeah, boss got was this? Yo, boss, I got a ticket for my car having no inspection, been about 6 months. That's Connor Doyle asking the question. Uh, does your vehicle not have a safety inspection done? Are you not plated lawfully on the road? Can someone send me the Highway Traffic Act for school bus drivers? You can probably get the handbook online for free. But if you search HTA school bus, there's a whole section you can read about it. Northern Boy says, can you hold someone at gunpoint until the police show up if they break into your house? You're gonna have to really explain how you got to a gun in your house that was properly and safely stored when you were, asleep. Like you'd have to have been cleaning it when someone came in, which could be a legitimate thing. Logan wants to know if the craziest case I've been on. I don't know. So, uh, I'd have to dig through my brain for that. Canadian Starboy quite simply and accurately says, "Simple, don't run from the police." Can you turn down a field sobriety test? That's Northern Boys asking the question, and the answer is no. If you refuse to participate, you get charged as though you failed it. Jordan Pike asked if I retired. Yeah, well, technically, I left before the age of retirement was possible. You have to be 50, and I left a week before I turned 50. Look for the regulations and look for the handbook, XDR. Nellie's Firehouse says, "I've got a story for you next time you go live if I'm available." It was an MVC call that I got. Yeah, I'm back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Okay. So High says that that bus drivers have additional stuff they have to follow in relation to servicing the student. If it's a school bus in particular, there are different rules, additional rules. So it's a legitimate question about. I don't have my bus license, so there is additional stuff. I have friends who have buses as part of their businesses, and they have to follow additional stuff. But the HTA is the HTA for everybody. It's within the HTA. What is the maximum limit on Ontario highway? Whatever's signed. 110, I think, is the fastest highway in Ontario, but it's not the entire. It's not the entirety of highways. It's some highways are 100, and some highways are 80, and some highways are 110. Okay, the fire truck, you're clear. Yeah. Okay, talking about right. Scrolling through here, I got to wrap up because it's been an hour and 45 minutes, and I'm back tomorrow morning again at 10. How does seatbelt laws work in a motorhome? You got to wear them. You can't be lying in bed while someone's driving. People in the back of the vehicle have to be in seatbelts. It's a terrible place to be because most of the seats that have seatbelts are still not good, safe seats. And trailers, you cannot be in a trailer in Ontario. Let's see here. Who's exempt from wearing a helmet in Ontario while operating a scooter, motorcycle, etc.? This is Bad Cat 43 has gone. Long time no see. It feels like I'm doing this once a week now or twice a week. So it's everyone's long time no see because it's been a week. Let's see here. So basically, everyone has to wear a motorcycle helmet, scooter being electric or gas powered scooter that's capable of going more than 32 kilometers an hour. So if it's a motorcycle or if it's an device, you have to wear a helmet. If it's an e-bike, you have to wear a helmet. And the only people who are exempt from helmet laws are members of the Sikh or Sikh, depending on how you want to pronounce it. I believe Sikh is correct. And the deal is that they have an exemption if they're practicing and they meet all the requirements. That doesn't make it safe though. If for a regular pedal bicycle, if you're under the age of 18, you're lawfully required to. If you're 18, you're allowed to make bad decisions. Vincent says, I really appreciate you and your content, sir. Stay blessed and happy Canada Day in advance. Thanks very much. Devin says, bye. Uranium enrichment, says Jamil. What? I'm not sure where you're going with that, Jamil, unless you're calling for war, which is kind of odd in a traffic channel. The Honorable May something got cut off. Unsigned ownership slip. How much for the fine? $110 for unsigned. Bad Cat says, thanks again. And with that, I'm taking the advantage. No, I see Liz. Liz has a question. Do vehicles in Ontario need both side view mirrors? Actually, there were a lot of vehicles. The Ford Fairmont that I remember my buddy had only had one mirror. So you need to have a clear view to the rear. You don't necessarily need to have both mirrors. Melody, can you tell me about both mirrors? Which one or both or how that works? Because I know that some vehicles don't have them. Or I should say don't have both. But you don't need a rear view mirror on the windshield if you've got two side mirrors. Melody says if they were built with them, they have to have them. Oh, good to know. So you can't remove one. Good to know. FW Anakin says, is it illegal to have a plate cover if it's not on while I get pulled over? If it's on the road and you're driving with it, a plate cover is illegal. And Will says, so what's two? And then we lost it. Florida won the cup. Kudos to Florida. And how can I get away with speeding? Join the police service. You can speed legally if you're a police officer while you're working in the lawful execution of your duties. What's your thoughts on volunteer? Your favorite being exempt from certain speed? Well, the volunteers aren't really exempt from anything. I mean, as a firefighter, you'd be while you're driving a fire truck. That'd be it. All right, I got to go. It's nearly 2 hours, and I'm at 49 minutes longer than I thought I'd be live streaming. It's always fun, and being that I only do it a couple days a week now for the summer, as I've got lots of stuff going on, I don't mind going long a little bit. It's a lot of fun. I like doing this. This is why I do it, is because I enjoy it. So I hope you got something out of it. If you want to ask a question, if you want to send me a voicemail for the live stream, for a future live stream, go to askatrafficcop.ca. You can use that the tab on the right hand side of the screen to leave a voicemail. And if you want to support the channel, by all means, go there. There's PayPal links. There's I think there's an Ask a or Buy Me a Coffee thing. It's all to fund the not-for-profit that I created. But at the end of the day, just hanging out and asking questions is something I appreciate, because you make the show worth watching. If you didn't ask questions, I'd just be talking about movies, and I got to go watch the Eagles movie now because Chappie Sinclair, one of the greatest movies. I totally remember watching that movie when it came out. And Maverick, thanks for the plug. He says, don't forget to follow. Yes, please follow, like, subscribe, share with your friends, and come back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern time, where I'll go live. And at 10:35, so 10 o'clock we go live. 10:35, Jerry Agar on News Talk 1010 joins the show. And what's the website? That is askatrafficcop.ca. And you can also look at bettertraffic.ca, which is the not specific to the show. If you're looking for stuff and things to buy, like emergency equipment, stuff to have in your vehicle, I got links there for Amazon. Even if you're not buying those things, click on them, check on them if you're going to buy other things on Amazon. It does help out the channel. Anyway, I'm really leaving. Good night. See you tomorrow. Bye.